Okay, everybody, I hope our broadcast has been fixed. Please feel free to come in and we'll go ahead and pick up where we left off. Okay, guys? Okay, alright. Looks like everybody is getting back in. Perfect.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Okay, guys, we'll begin in just a minute. Guys, let's go ahead and remain quiet while we wait for everybody else to come in. Okay, if you have any technical issues, please let me know. I believe I'm looking right now that our broadcast does appear to be back on. Excellent. Superb. We're going to go ahead and pick up where we left off. So Manu was actually sharing with us about a very serious issue that's happening in Mexico right now between the drug cartels and the government and the average citizen. Manu, do you mind, and I deeply apologize for interrupting you, sir. Can you go ahead and finish explaining to us about what's happening in your country? Manu, are you there? Okay, guess he's not there at the moment. All right, we'll go ahead and move on. Can everybody hear me?
No.
I can hear you. I can hear my kids.
Sorry, I was
Can
kidding.
people speak so I can hear them? Okay. Okay, guys, I do ask that we go ahead and be a little serious because of all the technical issues that are happening right now with Verbling. I do ask your cooperation, so if I do ask if you can hear me or if there's a connection problem, please be honest, okay? Let's not play around with that because we have had some technical issues the past week, okay? Thank you. All right, so Manu was explaining to us about really the drug war that's really caused a lot of difficulty in his native country of Mexico, and it's a very serious issue, right? And actually, but it's a very good starting point for our topic, if you can think about it, right? Because this is an issue that not only touches Mexico, even though it's happening in Mexico, it's also affecting where? It's an international problem. It affects, what country do you think it also affects just as much as Mexico? Can anybody tell me? Anybody?
Brazil.
Brazil? Do you think so? So Brazil is affected by the Mexican drug trade? It's true, yes, they are connected in some ways. Yes, Mariano?
Hi, everyone. I believe that the United States is affected by Mexican cartels and maybe Colombia. I'm not sure because the drugs, the logistics through of the drug go from Colombia to Mexico and blah 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 and go on and so on.
Mariano, I love this word that you use, the logistic flow. Can you explain to everybody what logistic means? Because that's a very advanced vocabulary term.
Well, not sure how to explain to the other guys, but logistic is like when you have two points and you have to, with a truck you can bring the things to the other points. I'm not sure how to explain it.
These two. You could also say that it's logistics is moving from one place to another, and so moving from point A to point B. And actually, Mariano, you bring up a very, very, very accurate issue that Colombia is part of the logistic flow of drugs. But probably you would be accurate that the country that's affected the most, even though I also agree that Brazil can definitely, like Mr. Moreira brought up, Brazil is definitely affected by this. Probably, yeah, the United States is the most affected. For example, right now, I live in a town called Del Rio, Texas, right? It's a border town. It's on the frontera, and I live right across from a town called Ciudad Acuña. It's a Mexican. It's the sister city to the city I live in now. Just last week, there was a huge gunfight on the right next to the bridge to the United States, where police and the cartel members had this huge, gigantic gun battle right next to a hotel, and it's right next to Texas, maybe just 500 feet away. So yeah, definitely, it's a
It's
local issue.
it's like watch a movie, but in your town, right?
Just about, yes, just about. Um, very real. And the problem is, it's an international security issue. It's not just affecting Mexico, and it's not just affecting the United States. It's affecting both, right? It's very surprising. Oh, Jorge, how are you? I see that you've come in.
Oh, hi. How are you? I'm good.
Long time no see,
Good night.
Jorge.
Yes, yes. I traveled.
Where have you been, my friend?
I've been in Colombia.
That's right. We were just talking about your native country and the drug cartels. Now you're like, oh, of course, Matthew. Yes, that's what you were talking about. I'm sorry, Jorge. hmm We
No,
were
don't worry.
Today's topic is actually about international security, but here's the issue, and I'm bringing this up as our debate topic, and I'm going to open this up for everybody to share their opinion. We know that Mexico has a drug war, and we know it also affects the United States because the drugs are coming into the United States because Americans are purchasing them. Uh, Weapons are coming from the United States back into Mexico. So it's a connected issue. But here's the question. How should these two countries work together? Or should they work together? Or should they work separately? What do you guys think? Who wants to share their opinion?
Work separately
Well,
when it comes to what? I'm sorry, I couldn't catch it.
Oh, sure. I mean, even though this issue affects both countries,
Yeah.
do you think it's going to be easy for them to work together?
no, it's
They are already working together, as in the NAFTA thing. So I
But
mean,
that has to do more with trade. This is a security issue.
yeah, but I
Well,
mean, like the basis is already there. Like they
hmm
can go from there and maybe put some pressure on the other trade stuff. If it really is bad, I mean, I don't know.
well, you have an organization like DEA,
Drug
and
Enforcement Agency,
yeah,
yes.
so I think they actually work together. But I
hmm
believe that this is a business, and they can't stop it. They
Yeah.
just can't stop it.
Vivian brings up a very interesting topic in the Verbling chat. Listen to this. She says, maybe, but it depends on how much both sides want to end the problem. Because the drug trade can be the term lucrative, as in very profitable. And so, even though the U.S. government and Mexican government may want to may want to work together, it's possible these cartels are very powerful, and they may have very powerful allies in the criminal world that want to help them and allow them to keep this trade. It's a very huge issue here on the border, for example, because frankly, corruption's very high. Um, I don't know. In the county, the condado, the local government next to Del Rio, for example, there three local politicians just got arrested here because they were. This is the American side. Three local American politicians were arrested due to corruption. One of them for possibly working with the cartel members. So it can happen over here. In fact, um, when I was in university, I was living in a town called Laredo, and the police chief, the chief of police for the city, was arrested by the FBI because he was helping the cartels. So it can definitely be a major. It can definitely be a major issue because sometimes corruption happens. Let's be honest. Even though we're both democracies, corruption can happen. I want to give a moment before we move on to introduce some of the new people that are in class. I see that we have Mr. Christopher Richter. How are you, Christopher?
Fine, and you?
Doing great. Where are you from, Christopher?
I'm from Chile, in
You're
South
from
America.
you're from
Chile.
where? Oh, Chile.
Chile.
Wonderful.
Yes, yes.
From Santiago or another town?
Yes, Santiago, capital.
Wonderful. Great to have you. And then right next to him, we have Mr. Solarte. Diego, it's good to see you again, my friend.
How are you, Mato? I'm fine.
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to have you again. Can you remind everybody the country and city you're from?
Okay, my name is Diego. I live in Colombia, and especially we have a big problem here in Colombia about drugs. And every day, I think Colombian people they are tired about always see or watch the news and watch the police that are corrupt and bad for us.
Oh,
We are all Colombian. We are like to work, and we are not as bad as the news show the foreign people.
mm. Well, I'm really happy to have you here again, Diego. I've missed you in my classes, te extraño. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the Mexican and U.S. drug issue, that the challenge that both countries have. And actually, we've had several of our classmates are from Colombia, so I'm going to bring up the Colombian issue. I want to ask Jorge, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Since you did such a good job bringing summarizing this in an earlier class, could you explain for our friends who are not maybe familiar with Colombia's, excuse me, drug trade issue? Could you summarize very briefly what is the drug conflict in Colombia and what's happening now?
In Colombia, the drugs is the main problem for a long time, and he in Venezuela too is the same problem. Because Venezuela is like a bridge in Colombia and the other countries, like for example between Mexico, the Caribbean islands, and the United States too. Well, we don't make the drugs, but we transport the drugs.
As
We have
yes, as
that problem.
Mariano said, I think as Mariano said very correctly, Colombia doesn't necessarily produce the drugs, but it is the logistical center, the center where
Exactly.
all the traffic happens. It's like a
Exactly.
highway or the camino, basically, the road.
Exactly. Sí, it's like a
Yeah.
bridge, el puente, más o menos.
Yep, that's very
Exactly.
accurate. That's why Colombia's had a lot of success recently in fighting the drug trade, but it still hasn't been able to finish it. It still hasn't been able to stop it. That may require additional help. I think so.
Yes. Well, Colombia right now, the United States help Colombia with guns and strategies about how can you combat with the terrorist groups. I think that is good. It's good because Colombia needs that help.
I think that's an interesting point, and it's a good point for our next debate topic. I want to ask everybody, I'm going to, as we say, open the floor. That means anybody can answer and offer their opinion. We've heard that Colombia has recently had a lot of success in fighting drug trafficking with help from the United States. But here's my question. Do you think that the United States alone, with its support in money and weapons and advice, do you think that that's going to be enough to stop the drug trade? Or do you think that maybe some of the do you think that some of the other South American countries need to accept some responsibility and help out as well? What do you guys think?
Okay, I think we have that problem here more or less 40 years ago. A lot of government made a lot of effort to eliminate it, but they couldn't. But I think we need help, of course. The whole continent, Brazil, Peru, Bolivia. I think
Yes.
if we can work as a team, we can maybe we can eliminate it. But I think it's impossible. But if we work together, maybe we could do, I don't know, something.
Yeah.
Our friends from Chile and Argentina, what do you guys think? Your two countries aren't necessarily directly involved in the drug war, but you are local neighbors. Do you think that your country should assume a stronger responsibility, or maybe no, it's not your concern? What do you guys think?
Well,
I
in the
think. No, sorry, sorry.
Mariano, go ahead,
Go
sir.
ahead, go ahead. Okay, perfect. In the case of Argentina, we should, because Argentina is in the logistic flow of the drug to Europe. When drugs go to Europe, Buenos Aires is the point that everything pass through.
That's yeah. We would say that Buenos Aires is sort of a center point, or a transfer point, you could say. Transfer point.
Transfer point of the drug. That's correct. From Colombia, Bolivia, Argentina to Madrid.
Oof. It's like a scary evil trade system. Ooh, that's terrifying, actually. What about our two Chilean members, Mr. Richter and Mr. Sebastian? Do you guys think that? What about Chile? Chile doesn't have a huge drug trade, but it is a regional neighbor to Colombia and Argentina. Should Chile become more active in military operations against drug cartels, or no? What do you guys think? Remember, there's no right or wrong answer.
The true, I don't know how to Chile participate in the drug war. But Chile is the perfect place to make a bridge or transfer point, like you say, because Chile is not in Atlantic Ocean, so the control is less. I don't know how to say, but in Chile is now important or very important transfer point to Europe, and in Chile now had to take a lot of medidas. I don't know how to say medidas, or measures to can combat the drug traffic to other countries, to Europe, and to Castle always. I don't know. I don't know how to say.
No, you did an excellent job, and thank you, Fabricio, for helping out. That's what the Verbling community does. And I think you brought up a very good point, Mr. Richter, that unlike Brazil and unlike Argentina, Chile is a transfer point on the Pacific Ocean, which means it not only is a transfer point to Europe, but geographically a transfer point to Asian markets, which means that's very important. I think possibly that it could play a role, right? That's a kind of a scary thing to think about. God, I really hope that no drug lords are watching our class getting business advice. Maybe we're doing their work for them. That's scary. Sebastian, look at you. I see you.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, Sebastian. I see your face. I haven't seen Sebastian in like 5 days, so I'm happy that I see him now.
Oh.
Okay. So moving to Asia, if that's okay, I'm going to instead switch from drug trafficking to another international issue. Jorge, you just had a little bit of background noise. I just muted you really quick so you can fix your microphone. Manu is actually back in the chat, so before we switch to Asia, I'm going to read what he's written because he wrote a very informative paragraph. He says, although Mexican drug cartels or drug trafficking organizations have existed for several decades in Mexico, they have become more powerful since the demise of Colombia's Cali and Medellin cartels in the 1990s. Mexican drug cartels now dominate the wholesale illicit drug market by controlling 90% of the drugs that enter the United States from the entire world. Holy crap. That is a huge issue. So we can see here, even though we've had a lot of success in Colombia, it hasn't fixed the problem. We've actually gotten, all that's happened is that the drugs are coming from a new market. I think Vivian puts it best, 90%. It's wow. Even I did not know it was that much. And by the way, does anybody, my home state of Texas, what country is it next to? Does anybody know?
Mexico.
Oh, por supuesto, Mexico, right?
Exactly.
No, Juan, not Vietnam. You wish. Manu says here, given its geographic location, Mexico has long been used as a staging and transshipment, like a transfer point, for narcotics, illegal immigrants, and contraband destined for U.S. markets from Mexico itself, South America, and other places. So it's a very challenging issue. It's also huge for my home state. My home state has the largest border with Mexico of any state, and culturally, Mexico and Texas are very culturally linked through, there are families that have both family in Texas and Mexico. Families like mine who are married into Mexican families, we're very connected, right? So it's an international issue. Even though different countries, we are one common family, actually. So the pain of one country is also the pain of another, right? It's very serious. I really appreciate the seriousness you guys have really brought to this debate class today. Let's go ahead and give some time for our and Manu, thank you so much for typing that. That was a beautiful and informative paragraph. Let's go ahead and move on to Asia for our friends that are from Turkey. And by the way, Manu Sebas is from Mexico City, so he's my he's my neighbor.
I'm sorry, Matthew. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
How do Mexican drug cartels take the drugs through the United States?
Actually, I'm happy to answer that. I do have some expertise in that background. A number of ways they can go through. I'm going to give you guys some vocabulary in the Verbling chat. They can actually majority of that. The majority of that traffic does not come through the ocean. It does not come through harbors. Although sometimes you can have. Sometimes you can have harbors and ships bring it in. Actually, the majority of it comes through what's called inland ports. That means across trade bridges. It's hard to explain that across the Texas-Mexican border is the Rio Grande River, And they traditionally, while sometimes Juan is correct, they use underground tunnels. For the most part, that's in other states. The vast majority of drugs actually come through my home state, and they come across the bridge. And they can occur through many different ways. A lot of it, they can hide it inside the case of a car, like they can put it inside the metal of a car. They can put it inside a human being. That person is usually called a mule. Okay. They
That
can
that, that
also,
happen that happen a lot in Colombia. The mules, they are famous.
yes,
The using the using submarines.
very similar, very similar, and also, frankly, they bribery. It's unfortunately happened a lot where U.S. national federal police officers or uh, local government officials often can be corrupted. It has happened. Not all the time, but there have been some cases where, frankly, on the American side, some local officials do get paid off. It's unfortunate, but it does sometimes happen. Like, for example, as I told you, the police chief of the town I was living in, Laredo, yeah, he got arrested by the FBI because the cartels were giving him money if he agreed to help traffic, frankly, help them traffic drugs into Laredo. It can happen a number of ways. They're unfortunately very creative. What can I say? Okay, so let's go ahead and go on to Asia. So let's begin over in Vietnam, if at all possible. Now, Juan, in Vietnam, there's not a huge, I believe there's not a huge marijuana or cocaine trade, but are there any illicit drugs that are transferred into Vietnam?
Yes, of course. We have all kinds of drugs.
Good. For example,
Transportation.
what is some of the challenges facing your country in this issue?
Actually, we have a very, how can I say, a very, like, we have a problem because it happens in the borders of Vietnam and Laos. And do you know the yellow triangle?
Yes, go ahead and explain it for everybody. I'm going to type it
Yeah.
in the verbling.
I think it's the area where the drug trafficking is very active.
Yes, especially in Southeast
And
Asia, yes.
And I think most of drugs that are transported into Vietnam is from Laos and from the north. And in the border areas, a lot of guys, they are drug traffickers. And as the government see drug trafficking a very severe crime or serious crime, they usually usually give the drug traffickers death sentence.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes. And because a lot of guys in the border, they do that thing, so they receive the death sentence, and their wives, their mothers, their daughters or sons, they got very angry, and they hate the government.
Oh, that's
So it caused a really serious political problems in the north.
I'm very, very surprised. Of course, drug trafficking is a serious crime, but I did not know in Vietnam it carried the death penalty. Wow.
Oh, if you just carry a small amount of drugs, you're sure gonna be killed, or you're
Really?
sure gonna be, receive a death penalty.
To be
They're
frank,
very strict.
as you guys, maybe some of you guys know, my home state is Texas. Does anybody know my state's reputation for the death penalty?
Yes, I do.
Mariano, how often does my state use the death penalty?
Always, I think always.
Yes, always. But even here, you only have the death penalty for one crime, and that's first-degree murder. And even most of the time they get life in prison, not death penalty. So I'm so shocked that Vietnam has a more strict death penalty law than Texas. Much more strict.
Yeah, we have
Wow.
death penalty for murder. Of course, murder if you have the intention to kill a person, and we also have death penalty for raping, and also for drug trafficking.
Oh my goodness, that is so shocking. Oh wow.
Hey, Matthew.
Yes, yes, sir. Sorry, I was just so surprised. Go ahead, Mr. Moreira.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I would like to show you guys a video of kind of shooting in Brazil in a slum. So it's a bit
Sure,
shocking.
go ahead. I'm
It's
gonna
kind
put
of-
the camera onto your screen. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead and maximize it for everybody.
All right.
Take our time, guys. We're gonna watch Mr. Moreira's video here.
Can you see it?
Not just yet. It looks like it's frozen.
It's my connection.
It's okay. We'll wait for it to load. What is the video's topic?
It's just gunshot shooting or shooting. I don't know. I'm not sure. In a slum in Brazil. Can you see it?
Still not yet.
Oh my gosh, what's going on?
It's okay though.
How about now?
Yes. Vivian asks. Meanwhile, do we know what a slum is? A slum, of course, is a very poor neighborhood. Very, very poor.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
All right, let's watch. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Oh.
But that's where we live, like almost every day.
That happened in Venezuela every day.
Yeah,
Every day
Yeah.
we're normal.
in Venezuela.
It can happen here in the inner city as well. This is
Yeah, see the drug dealers.
yeah. Oh my God.
You see, it's pretty shocking. Look,
Yeah.
Oh.
that's a cop.
Oh, he's corrupted. He's accepting the bribe. He's helping the traffickers.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, it happens here too sometimes. Yes.
Yeah, that's why you asked before if there is a solution for all of this. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think it's getting better. You know, on the contrary, unfortunately, because there are many things behind this subject, right? Especially here in South America. I mean, in Brazil, because our laws don't work at all, you know. So you can see cops and crooks doing same stuff. Sometimes you don't know how to see the difference among them. You know what I mean?
Yes, and unfortunately, it can happen here too. I think sometimes these things are universal, maybe in different degrees and different levels, but unfortunately, when it comes to combating narcotics, corruption is often an occurrence that we have to deal with sometimes. It's sad. It's shameful, but it does happen. That's thank you for sharing that. It was shocking. I think Mamoon put it best. He says, "I didn't sign up for this." Oh, Mamoon, I love you. Don't worry. I'll keep you safe as much as I can. All right. Oh, he says, "I love you too," and he used the letter U and the number 2. That was very, very, but I think that's very indicative of the challenges we have. Juan actually says in the Verbling chat she believes that U.S. laws, even though many countries consider American laws on drugs to be deeply strict. Actually, in Western countries, American drug laws are considered very strict. But Huen actually said she believes that they are probably not strict enough. But Huen, did you actually know that the U.S. has the largest population of prisoners in the entire world? Did you know that?
Because you don't apply death penalty.
But actually, do you know the death penalty in the American system is more expensive than life in prison? Can you guess why?
Because of the poison?
No, because of the appeal process. In the U.S., in the American system, our Constitution guarantees that a defendant has as many resources as possible to defend themselves, even an appeal. And since execution, of course, you automatically get appeals because taking a life in the American justice system is kind of a big deal. The appeal process is incredibly expensive because you have to start a case and lawyers and everything. So actually, to be frank, executing somebody is more expensive than keeping them in prison for life.
I think that's because of the common law system that you have.
Yes, that's right. And I don't think it's going to change. And frankly, to be honest, if I could inject, I wouldn't. As an American, I would not want it to change. Something about having a lot of appeals makes me feel a little happy. But of course, I would never make a mistake and end up where I need them. Right? Hopefully not. But that's a pretty big argument too. Maybe our laws are not a good deterrent. Who knows? Then again, there's countries with less strict laws than the United States that don't have the same drug problems. Who knows? It's complicated. Mr. Chan, you haven't had a chance to speak yet. What are your opinions on these issues? Mr. Chan! We lost him. Godspeed, Mr. Chan. The firewall, the great firewall got him. Okay. We'll go ahead and conclude now with a few final thoughts. First off, I really want to thank everybody for a very, very productive debate class. We had the drug war is never, drug conflicts are never an easy topic, and nobody can necessarily agree on the solutions. We can all agree that something has to be done, and we can generally agree that we have to work together, but we don't necessarily always agree on how we should work together. We can't necessarily agree on, okay, we have to work together, but we don't know the right tools. I know, for example, my home state has a very, very close connection with Mexico because we're family. But at the same time, even though we're family, we struggle right now to work together to combat a very serious issue that hurts both the U.S. and Mexico. And we can't necessarily agree, but even between all of us, what the answers are. Juan would argue stricter laws are necessary. But to Americans, maybe death penalty aside from murder would probably be a little difficult. We may have Mariano argues, hey, Argentina needs to accept a little bit more of a role because it's a logistical transfer point. And then Mr. Morea brings up a good point here too. It's possible even with all of our cooperation. The drug issue has only gotten bigger in many ways and harder to control as the world becomes smaller and markets become more connected. Oh, Juan, you were going to say something? Juan?
Yes, I was going to say about the solution that we have, like Laos and Vietnam. So basically, Vietnam will catch Laos drug dealers, and Laos will catch Vietnamese drug dealers. So no hate for the government, because of course, bribe is not accepted. We all very determined to fight against the war, like the drug. So yeah, that's the trick that we use to to solve the problem of people hating the government for killing their brothers and fathers.
Wonderful. And guys, I really want to thank you for a very, very productive class. If you want to request a topic, as usual, bam, in the Verbling chat, that is my Facebook. Add me. Send me a suggestion. Send me a request for a class that you want me to teach. If you want to learn about a government issue, let me know. If you want to learn about a historical era, let me know. If you want more singing classes, I have a lot of singing classes. You want to sing? You want a history class, Gwen?
Yes.
I know. You need to message me and tell me a specific time period or event so I can focus on it.
Event, okay.
Okay? If you guys want me to teach a fashion class, I know nothing about fashion, but I swear on my Lord that I will do it. Okay? So have a wonderful class. Have a wonderful next class with Brett. It's going to be a fun course. I look to see you next time, maybe in one of my other debate classes, maybe in my singing class, maybe in my comedy class. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Good class. Thanks, Matthew. Bye.
Thanks.